Francine. It's very nice to welcome you to our Thrive video series. Francine Dick is a financial advisor with Carte Wealth Management. So please tell us a little bit about your personal life and your professional life.
Well, they're quite mixed together. My professional life, I have been a financial advisor for 25 years. I've been with Carte for about 5. I left a corporate job about 5 years ago to go out on my own as an independent advisor, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
I figured it was late in the day, but not too late. So that's something to consider. I have been doing this, as I said, for a while. Before that, I was a photographer, and we might get into that as well. I am born and raised and have lived my life in Toronto. I raised 3 children essentially on my own and did a good job of it too, if I might add. And I am a compulsive volunteer and I do a lot of work in my community. And yeah, for that, I was actually awarded the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal for my community service.
Congratulations. Tell us a story about your progression through your work life and up to this moment, and what initiated your decision, or what spurred your decision to continue to work in your 60s?
There were a couple of things. I mentioned I was a photographer. My ex-husband was also a photographer, and we had a photo studio together. And when the marriage broke up, I got the house and the kids mostly, and half his debts as well, which was a little bit of a surprise and probably led to me becoming a financial planner. And I think that I kept doing photography, but I think that personal change led me to want to do a professional change. And so I began to look around at different things I might do. And of course, being a single mom with 3 kids, there were certain limitations. Any job that said ability to be flexible, well, that's great, except daycare closes at 6 o'clock. So I'm sorry, I can't work till 7. Anything with travel was out. And I was looking after 3 kids, so I couldn't go back to school to get a new degree or anything. And one day, I'm going to be aging myself here, I saw an ad in the newspaper for a career in financial and insurance services. And that sounded intriguing. I went to the orientation meeting. I didn't like the company and how they were structured, but I like the appeal of working with people, being in sales in a way. I've always been in sales and love it, love working with people. And so that's how I started. And it just sort of progressed from there. Got my certified financial planner designation and other designations as I went along. And then working after 60, well, I think I'm like a lot of women. One, I enjoy keeping busy. I'm really fortunate because I love the work I do. And trust me, I work with a lot of people who don't. And I think for some women, and it's funny, Patricia, because I work with a lot of older women who are leaving the corporate world and striking out on their own. And I think for a lot of women, they've had enough. They've worked so hard, underappreciated, undervalued, underpaid. And it's like, why am I working so hard for someone else? And I'm going to just do what I love doing and create my own business. And basically, that's what happened to me. I always say, leaving my corporate job, it was like a bad marriage breaking up. It wasn't just one thing. It was a bunch of little things over time. And as I said, it was late in the day, but not too late. And so part of it is I enjoy what I do. I enjoy working. I love helping people. I find my job very fulfilling, very rewarding. And also a lot of it, I'll be quite honest, is financial. As I've said more than once already, I raised 3 kids and I didn't get support payments. So I struggled financially for a while, and which I think makes me very empathetic and understanding of people who are struggling. So I didn't save as much as I should for my retirement. I was a bit late in the game getting going with that because my money had to go to supporting the children. So still working and having money coming in is a great thing. And then the other thing, because we're living longer too, especially women, like living to 90 is quite common nowadays. So if you retire at 65, you've got 25 years ahead of you. And, you know, will you have enough to do? Will you have enough money to support yourself?
And will you have enough, when you say enough to do, will you have enough that you have good quality of life in those additional years, right? This is something that I do speak to women about, and that is they don't understand that the traditional age of retirement, like in the 60s, you've gone through maybe 2/3 of your life, like at work and when you're a student and a child. But this next phase is sometimes longer than any one of those other phases. So why wouldn't you plan both financially, because you have to support whatever you want to do, but why wouldn't you plan your work life or your interests for those additional, let's say, 30 years, right? So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people think, I know a lot of people that I've spoken to over the years, they think once they hit that age of traditional 65, they're gone, but they don't realize, or they don't ask a question after the 2-year honeymoon part, like, well, what's next, right? So we have a couple of references to marriages, honeymoons, and divorce here, but it's one of those analogies that we can bring to bear, right?
Right. And for some people, you know, if you can retire at 60 or 65 with a really good pension, and maybe you're set for life, and maybe you're absolutely happy doing nothing and just doing nothing. Some people I know, they're busier in retirement because they're doing this and that and involved with a lot of things. So each person is individual.
Yes.
You know, I've always thought I don't want to be like, you know, one of those old lawyers where they go, oh, he's 80 years old and he comes into work 5 days a week. But I'd like to work part-time even with my clients who I really like, really as long as I can, because it's stimulating, it's engaging, it keeps me mentally sharp. I get out just before our meeting today, I took a client for lunch. So it's really a fun job.
Yeah, so it keeps you socially active as well, right? So
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's the incentive of business revenue from that as well, and you know, all the good parts about it.
Yeah.
Can you think back to your first job about an experience or something that you did in your first job that really serves you right now?
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that, because my very first jobs as a teenager were in the service industry. And they were serving people. And I've always enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know what I was paid way back then, but I've just liked working with people. And maybe I was lucky at the time we didn't have all the computers and technology and everything. So you actually had to be out in the public and working with people. And it was also, I think, to understand that not to take things personally, that if someone was, you know, getting angry with you about what you think might be really trivial, maybe it wasn't you they were angry with, it was something going on in their life at that moment, and they were just sort of taking it out on you. So I think in your own business, it helps if somebody says no. It's not that they're rejecting you. It just might be right now they don't need your service, or it's just not a good fit. And that helps. You know, as women, we always internalize everything, don't we?
Yeah, we feel it with our heart.
They don't want to work with me. They don't like me. What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, there's nothing wrong. It's just whatever. You don't buy everything you see. So that's it.
Well, one of the things that I like to ask is about, the wisdom that you would like to share with another woman, maybe another woman approaching that time where she's going to make a decision about whether she's going to continue to work the way she has worked all these years, although the pandemic has changed that a lot. There's this great resignation going on, right? So a lot of people are leaving their jobs exactly for the reasons that you mentioned earlier. So, is there some wisdom that you would like to share that you think is really important for women to understand as they approach that time?
I think you need to have a plan, but you also need to be flexible. So you need to look at where you are. And, Patricia, I've worked with people who literally hate their jobs.
Yeah.
Like they just hate them. And I'm sitting there listening and I'm like, oh, I could never do that. Like just spend 8 hours a day in something I hate. And it's so soul crushing and emotionally draining, I think, too. So if you have a job you like, or you're approaching retirement and you think, hey, I can stick this out for 3 more years, that's fine. If you're thinking of leaving to go out on your own, prepare now. So take a look. Do you need to get any professional designations? Do you need to join some networking groups? Do you need to speak to people? And put aside money to save, because it's going to be a tough slog for the first couple of years. Highly unlikely you'll be making $100,000 in your first year. And so be prepared. It's going to be tight. Maybe no vacations. Maybe that washing machine is going to have to last another year or two to get you through. But it's so rewarding when you find out how you can help people and to create your own business that really is, as you talked about, personal and professional. Your business is a reflection of you when you can do that. And if you go to my website or you Google me, you will find glowing reviews from my clients, and they're so heartfelt, and it makes me feel so good that I've been able to help people on their journey to financial security.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you have really found an answer to your why, right? Like why you want to continue to work, and that is to help people, make them very healthy, wealthy, and wise. What would you say to someone, or what would you do for yourself when perhaps a little bit of doubt creeps in about your plans or about your work and your life?
Well, I think first of all is always to help people. And that's a great way. I make a good living. I have great clients, but I've done a lot of seminars and webinars for different organizations, and I do those for free. And that really helps to be able to give back to people.
Mm-hmm.
I know in job interviews, there's always a thing about where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I always thought that was a really silly question, because who knows where we're going to be in 5 years, right? I could be dead. But I always think it's best look back where you were 5 years. And if you're running your own business, and I look back, where was I? I was basically just starting out 5 years ago, starting my own business. And I see how far I've come and how much I've done. And that really helps.
Yeah.
And the others out, the gentleman who walked by is Jacob, and he's a refugee from Eritrea. And his brother, who's here, lived with me for a while. And there were 5 of us. We created a private group to sponsor him as a refugee into Canada. And he just arrived on Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So anyhow, he's staying here. And so that's things like that, just realizing the good things you have in your life. Like really, we really have it good. And just trying to help other people and share some of that goodness.
Yeah, so it's not about focusing so much on yourself, where you're self-absorbed in your doubts and things like that. It's about putting yourself out with other people to serve them. And you are fortunate where your profession actually does that, And so it's aligned with your personal aspirations as well, right? To be able to do
Yes,
that.
absolutely. And I would also say for any women starting out, and even if you're in a regular job, finding a networking group is really important because you can share honestly. We had a networking group I belong to. We had a Zoom call yesterday because everyone was just sort of feeling a little off, in September for various reasons. Maybe it's another approaching COVID winter. But having those groups, because when you run your own business, you always have to be on. Like, you know what it's like everything's great and you're just, happy and life is great and business is great. So having a networking group that you go and you can be open and honest with other people and you can say, business is horrible this month. A big client I thought I was going to onboard didn't come through. My kids are acting up or whatever it is. And so you have a place where you can really share what's going on and how you're struggling. And often, you not only get support, you can often get good advice. Well, maybe you should try this, or have you thought of doing that? So that helps.
So that network, especially of other professionals and other women, is very important. Like maintaining that network, even perhaps as we're not working so much or we're not getting out as much, it's still a very important asset, isn't it? I've always said that to women. Like my women's network it doesn't show on my balance sheet, but it's the biggest asset I have in my business.
Well, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to your younger self for taking care of yourself now and in the future?
Well, I would tell her that really life is a long journey and there's going to be a lot of bumps along the way. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but just take care of yourself and you will arrive at your destination at some point. I would also say take care of yourself and you are really worth something and you are so valuable as a person and you should always value yourself.
Okay. Would you say that's part of taking care of yourself? Like exactly what do you mean by taking care of yourself?
Well, just taking care of yourself, loving yourself, feeling your own self-worth, recognizing your own potential to soar, and just putting yourself first sometimes, which is really an issue, I think, for a lot of women.
Yes. I think we're beginning to learn more about it, though. Yeah. So
I think absolutely. And I think, I find as I get older, I'm not afraid to say no anymore. I'll just say no. And if I have to, here's my little tip. Everyone will know now. If I say no, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm already booked, or I have an appointment. And it's like, yeah, I got an appointment with myself, Or
yes, you certainly do.
I booked some downtime with myself or, and it's just, it used to be, it's, oh yeah, okay, I guess I'll go. And now it's like, I said, do I really, really want to do that? It's like, no. So, okay.
Yes. It's about, like you were saying, your own self-worth and putting a measure on that so that you can make the decisions that are best for you at that particular time rather than giving up what's best for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any major insight that you've had in the past year that you'd like to share?
This is at the beginning of each year. I write a letter to myself, or like pretend I'm journaling, and I pretend it's the end of the year and I'm looking back on the year. So like 2020, I got totally wrong, right? Because right. Well, we had this big pandemic. And I think, the thing is that things happen. Like we can make the best plans. There's a Yiddish phrase about man plans and God laughs. And it's like we plan, and I think it's great. We do need to plan, but also understand that things happen and we have to change with them. I think a lot of people, who had weddings planned the past year and a half, we've seen it also with funerals, with events that have to be canceled, working from home. I'm really grateful I don't have young children anymore because, boy, those parents of young children, and especially women again, have really struggled.
Yes,
But
yes.
we can change and we can adapt. And if I look at working, one of the things I've noticed for myself, I thought, well, apart from looking after my cats, working from home, everything was online, everything was virtual. And I thought, I could go away somewhere for a month or 2 months and maybe over the winter, and I can just work. I could have work and vacation at the same time because now you can work anywhere. And so that's sort of changing my outlook on how to live my life.
Yeah, yeah. We can be what they call working vagabonds now.
Working
Um,
vagabonds. Oh, I
yeah,
like that term.
yeah, yeah. And you know, Francine, there are a lot of women that have decided on that lifestyle. So it's something that has sort of grown over the last couple of years, and it's been validated because of the pandemic. So wherever they were when the pandemic struck, they stayed and they continued to work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
great.
yeah. I know a couple. Yeah, absolutely.
And when things open up, they'll move on again, which I think is great. I wish I had been down in
Yeah.
St. Martin when this struck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also for women, and especially women who have had children, and they've devoted so much time to family, and some people, they had elderly parents that they cared for,
Yeah.
and the parents have passed on, and now they don't have responsibilities like they used to, and they have a lot more freedom. And I know I'm kind of looking at that as like, okay, what do I want to do for me? What's going to make me happy? And boy, that's kind of a new concept, but
Yeah.
it's very fun.
So what is next for you?
Well, I'll continue working for a while. I am almost at the point, probably within a couple of years, because my business has been 5 years. So anyone starting off, 5 years, I'm really kind of hitting my stride where now I'm getting enough revenue coming in. I'm getting referrals from existing clients. People are finding me on Google or the financial planners website, where I don't have to no struggle or just work quite as hard to build up my business. My revenue's enough. I'm not a millionaire, although I own a house in Toronto, so I guess
You
technically
are
I am.
in it.
But I have enough income that I'm very comfortable. And
Yeah.
so I figured, well, a couple more years, I'll really work hard, and then I'll just kind of coast. And I mean, not coast, I'll still work hard for my clients, but I won't have to work as hard bringing in new clients or building up my business. And I'll just keep doing that, I think, for as long as I choose to.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I'll be a working vagabond and see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, good. It's been my pleasure speaking with you today and learning more about what's important to you at this time of life. And I am going to let our audience know where they can contact you. Give them your website and your contact information. And I want to thank you very much. This has been a great conversation.
Well, thank you, Patricia. It really has been a lot of fun, and I hope, ladies, that you take some inspiration and live the life that you choose. I think it's often the things we don't do in life that we regret rather than the things we do. So
Very
be
much so.
bold and take a chance.
Yeah, that's a great way to end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.